Hi everyone, hope you're doing well. This is a video to go over homework day 112. Make sure you post it on Google Classroom so you get credit for it. All right, so this is the homework that has to go with the new factoring tricky trinomials, but then the new way is called factoring by grouping, which you have to know for the high school. And again, you can also use it now on the regions and things like that. So let's see how you did. All right, so for number 7, which is your first homework question. So 2y squared goes here, 5 goes here, 2 times 5 is 10. So it multiplies to 10 and adds to 11. That would give you 10y and 1y. Okay, so 2y squared plus 10y, you factor out a 2y, you get y plus 5 left over. Here you have nothing in common. Technically you do, you have a 1. So bring down that positive 1, don't forget that sign, and y plus 5. So 2y and 1 is your GCF, so those go into one binomial, and the common factor binomial goes over here. All right, number 2, so bring 2n squared over here, or technically number 8, sorry. 2n squared goes over here, 2 goes over here. Take your a term 2, multiply it by your c term of 2, you now get 4. So that is your new number that you're trying to multiply to. So it multiplies to 4 and adds to 5, positive 4n and positive 1n. Split those right in half. 2n squared and 4n have a common factor of 2n. So you have n plus 2 left over. 1n and 2 has a common factor of 1. Make sure you pull out the plus 1. Make sure you have the plus sign there. And you have n plus 2. Again, those should always match, which they do. So your 2n and your 1 is into one binomial. And then your n plus 2 are in your second binomial. All right, next one. 7a squared and 28. Then take your 7 and you multiply by 28, which is 196. I do want to actually remind you how to get these answers. Okay, if you do 196 divided by x and go to second graph, remember anything that's not a decimal, all the numbers next to each other are your common, or would be your answers. So we would have 49 and 4, that's going to get you the 53. Okay, so you have 7a squared plus 49a, GCF is 7a, a plus 7 is what's left over, 4a and 28, your GCF is 4, so a plus 7 is left over, 7a and plus or positive 4, make sure the positive, is one binomial, and a plus 7 is your second binomial. All right, number 10, 4n squared and negative 25. Let me write this 2m, so you know which one to multiply to and which one to add. Okay, so what multiplies to 4 times negative 25, which is negative 100, multiplies to negative 100, adds to negative 15, would be negative 20 and positive 5. Here your GCF is 4n with n minus 5 left over. You have a positive 5, make sure you put the plus 5, n minus 5 left over. You take those GCFs, and 4n plus 5 is created, and what they have in common, right there, n minus 5. Hopefully you guys are doing okay so far. All right, last couple. So 2x squared goes over here, 6 goes over here. 2 times 6 is now 12. So that's now what you're multiplying to. It multiplies to 12 and adds to 7 is 4x and 3x. Again, you always notice I put the bigger number first just to be consistent like we do with tricky trinomials. Here your GCF is 2x, and you want to bring a factor out of 2x. That leaves you with x plus 2. Here your greatest common factor is 3, left with an x plus 2 again. These should always match. That's how you know you're doing this right. So 2x and 3 is one binomial. X plus 2 is the other. All right, next one. Final one of the grouping. So 5x squared and negative 1 gets split up. 5 times negative 1 is negative 5. So it multiplies to negative 5, adds to positive 4, is positive 5x and a negative 1x. Go ahead and split that right there. GCF is 5x. X plus 1 is what's left over. Okay, here's one we did together. Just be careful of those negatives. They're both negative, so this should be negative. And remember, even though this was negative and this was not, we still pulled out the negative. So be very careful. If there's a negative in the third term, you're bringing down that negative. So x plus 1 is what's left over, which makes those the same. Yay. 5x minus 1 is one binomial, and your x plus 1 is the other. All right, and the last 3 was just some mixed review. This one I did tell you was factoring completely, which means 2 steps. So is GCF first, and then DOPS was second. So 5, and then y plus 2 and y minus 2. This one is DOPS, difference of perfect squares. Again, 25 is perfect square. Take the square root of both sides, 1 plus 1 minus. And this last one is your GCF, which is basically what we were doing in this. So 8 and 2, your common factor is 2. R to the third and R to the second. Remember, you always take the highest exponent, okay? So the highest exponent that they have in common is r squared. So actually you can think about it this way. Just think of it being actually the smallest exponent. I think that's how I taught it in class. So it's the highest exponent they have in common, but you're essentially just taking the smaller of the two, and that always works. So if this was a 5 and a 3, you would take the 3. If this was an 8 and a 6, you would take the 6. Always take the smaller. 8r to the third divided by 2r squared is 4r. And then negative 2r squared divided by 2r squared is negative 1. And that is your answer. All right, hopefully you guys did okay. If you have any questions at all, feel free to reach out to me. And don't forget to post it. Bye.